Hello and welcome to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Carl Hunt, and today our guests include Southern Utah head coach Demario Warren, Sacramento State defensive end Darian Chote, and Stats Craig Haley. Let's take a look back at some highlights from this past weekend. Montana State beat Western Illinois of the Missouri Valley Conference 23-14. Northern Arizona topped Western New Mexico 55-21. Southern Utah beat Stephen F. Austin in an overtime thriller 45-38. Sacramento State blanked Northern Colorado 50-0, and UC Davis captured a 41-13 win over Lehigh at home. The Big Sky continues to shine in the FCS Top 25 polls. In the Stats FCS, UC Davis, Weber State, Montana State, Eastern Washington, and Montana are all ranked in the top 20 of the poll, with the Aggies leading the way at number 4. In addition, 3 additional teams are receiving votes across both polls. Big Sky Root Sports Offensive Player of the Week honors went to UC Davis quarterback Jake Mayer. Sacramento State defensive end Darian Chote was named the Defensive Player of the Week, while Montana State's Tristan Bailey earned Special Teams Weekly honors. Remember, Root Sports is the official television partner of the Big Sky Conference. The league has 5 Big Sky Missouri Valley Challenge Series games this weekend, as the Big Sky holds a 3-1 edge. The Big Sky has a chance to clinch the Challenge Series this Saturday, but would need 3 wins to do so. When we return, Southern Utah head coach Demario Warren will join us on the show. Stay tuned to This Week in Big Sky Football.
Big Sky men's and women's basketball championships are headed to Boise. Buy your tickets now for a fun-filled week with basketball for all to enjoy. Purchase your tickets today by visiting BigSkyInBoise.com. That's BigSkyInBoise.com.
We would like to welcome Southern Utah head coach Demario Warren to our show today. Coach, welcome and congrats on your win over Stephen F. Austin.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
The game had everyone on pins and needles in regulation, and then you went into overtime. Talk about how your team was able to prevail over the Lumberjacks.
They battled their butts off. It was fun to see those guys compete play after play. We had a ton of setbacks. We got to clean up a lot of penalties and undisciplined football, but at the end of the day, these guys are willing to fight. They're not going to give up, and they're a relentless group that wants to win football games. And so if we can focus on the details, I think we'll be much better. But I think I really give all the credit to our players of just being in great shape, being able to continue to fight and staying mentally in the game as it wore on for 4 hours.
Now, scheduling non-conference home games are essential. How does this Big Sky Missouri Valley Challenge Series help promote that effort for you guys?
Yeah, we love it. I think we're the 2 best conferences in the country, and so to be able to get some quality opponents home and away every couple of years has been awesome. And so we got to play Northern Iowa last week, and now we get a chance to play South Dakota State. So definitely hope that we continue this relationship.
Now, your fans are known for packing the house. How are you guys able to consistently have great crowds there in Cedar City?
Our community is behind the football team. When Coach Lamb first took over in 2008, it wasn't like that. And we built a program that was fun to watch and a product that was fun to be at and an atmosphere that was great. And so it's taken a long time, but now the students are behind us, the community is behind us, and it's just a great place to play a college football game.
Let's talk about senior All-American Zach Larson. He has been an instrumental part of not only your offense, but your team. What has his leadership been like over the years?
It's been great. He was the guy that came to me the day after the season ended last year and asked me, Coach, what can I do to help us be better? And so that's just what type of person he is. He had scheduled players meetings during winter conditioning and just try to keep everybody on the same page and keep them understanding that we have one common goal and we have to put a lot of work into it so we can be successful or give us the best chance to be successful in the 12 games that we have during the fall. So he's put a ton of work in. He leads by example, and if he needs to, he'll have a meeting or do things off the football field, off the schedule to make sure that his guys are doing what they're supposed to do.
Do you ever share your experience as a student athlete with your players?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, I think I've been put through a lot. God put me through a lot of different situations that I've been able to relate to a large amount of kids with different backgrounds, and it's really been a blessing. Like when you go through some of that stuff as a student athlete or as a young man, you kind of play the why me, the victim card. But when you grow up and realize that you went through all that stuff for a reason, and you can actually help people and relate to people as you get older, it has been very beneficial. So yeah, I definitely share all my student athlete experiences and things that I've been through throughout my life.
Now, speaking of your time as a student athlete, you and UC Davis offensive coordinator Tim Plow were teammates. When you guys see each other, now that you're both coaches, is it still friendly camaraderie between you two, or is there a little bit of a rivalry there?
No, yeah, that's my guy. He's awesome. If I'm feeling down, I usually give him a call, and he usually has he has some either video to watch or something to help me out. So yeah, he's definitely important to me, and definitely don't have any ill will towards him. I guess the competitiveness is always there because it's like your brother. You want to beat your brother worse than you want to beat anybody else. So we're definitely competitive, but when we see each other outside the season, it's awesome to see him and catch up and see how him and his family are doing.
Now, away from the field, you have made your health a high priority, and you even ran a 10K this past summer. What made you decide to run that race?
I hate running, and it was something hard, and it was something mentally challenging for me. And I'm starting to understand the more things that you do and try to excel at that you don't like to do, and that's hard for you. You get more mental toughness, and you're able to work harder and concentrate on the things that you do love. And I think running for me has always been a hurdle that I haven't been able to really do. And so lately I've been running a lot, and it's been helping me with my work schedule and being able to, again, just mentally even push myself harder in the things that are important to me if I'm willing to do the hard things that I don't like to do.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on our show today, Coach, and good luck in your game at South Dakota State this Saturday.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll be back shortly with our next segment of This Week in Big Sky Football.
Pluto TV is your one-stop shop for Big Sky action. The leading free internet television service in America will stream live sporting events including up to 700 football, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and selected soccer, softball, and track and field events. Simply go to Pluto TV to find games from several different sports. Pluto TV is your one-stop shop for all Big Sky action.
Next up on This Week in Big Sky Football, Sacramento State senior Darian Chote. Darian, thanks for joining us on the show, and congrats on the win this past Saturday.
Man, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Darian was named the Big Sky Root Sports Defensive Player of the Week. Darian, you were all over the field racking up tackles, forced fumbles, pass breakups. You basically were doing everything. What led to such a powerful performance, and was there a point in the game in which you felt like today was going to be that day where you just kind of went off?
Honestly, just preparation. Every week I try to push myself to do more and more, try to get ready for the game on Saturday. So I think this week was just a lot of preparation I did, and during the game I was just blessed to be out there. You know, God blessed me to come out there and play the game, so I tried to go out there and have fun with it. That just led up to a good game for me.
What do you feel has been the difference for the Hornets this season?
I feel like a lot of love, connection. I feel like this team, we have a very good bond, very strong bond. Everybody's hungry this year. Obviously, last season wasn't too good for us, so we got a lot of good leadership coming in this year. People were just tired of having an average, mediocre season, so everybody came together this year and said, man, let's step it up. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking it week by week, trying to push ourselves to become a better team.
How has the new defensive coordinator, Andy Thompson, how has he helped shape the Hornets defense this season?
Oh, he's great. It just even how he interacts with the players. Everybody has a relationship with him. He puts everybody in a great position to make plays and everything. He knows that each one of his players. So he knows exactly where to put us at the right times. And I feel like he just the relationship that we have with our D coordinators it's just kind of like unexplainable. It's just something that's really great, and I feel like every coach should have that with their players. Like, there's a very good trust level. We trust him, he trusts us, and that's what just brings out a good performance.
You seem to have a really big fan base on Twitter. Tons of fans are liking and retweeting your Player of the Week post. Who are some of your biggest supporters?
My biggest supporters, of course, I'm from Seaside, California, so I have a large fan base back home and everything. I'm one player out of a couple only to come out the city to go play football at this level. So I feel like a lot of people are standing behind me. I got my dad, my brother, my sisters, all my cousins, large family. So I got a lot of family and friends. On top of that, I got my football team up here. My family that I have created up here in Sacramento that I have met and grown with over the years. Got a lot of people behind me, and they're supporting me, and I love it.
So does your family get a chance to make it to a lot of your games?
My dad never misses a game. Every time I look in the stands, he's up there with my jersey on, supporting me. So that's one thing I love about my father. He is there every time he can be.
When you were growing up, were there any players in particular that you really tried to model your game after?
Not like position wise, not as a defensive lineman, but players I did look up to leaving out my hometown was Mason Foss, who was one. He went to University of Washington, and he's now bouncing around in the league right now. He was just a former Redskin linebacker. And I had somebody I looked up to named Jerron Johnson. He played for Boise State at a point in time in his career. He was one of my favorite college football players as well. So those are two players I've seen that they came from their cities and they grew up and, you know what I'm saying, they blew up in their sports, and look at them now, just living a successful lives and everything.
Now, according to your bio, you played basketball and baseball in high school. How did you end up choosing football as your sport of choice?
Like at a point in time, I noticed that I was too short for basketball. So I love basketball, but I didn't have the height requirement to play center. So, and baseball, I always loved baseball. Third base is life, and football, I don't know, something about the aggression, something about the team bonding and everything. Football just took my heart. So my first year playing football was my freshman year of high school. So I guess that just took over after a while, and then I started getting recruits. I started having good performances and everything. So I just went ahead with football.
Now, in school, you're a sociology major. How did you end up on that as your kind of field of study?
I wanted to do psychology at first, but I couldn't get into the program and whatnot. So I went ahead and picked sociology, something that's kind of like I'll say like a brother major from psychology. It's kind of similar things going on between the two majors. But sociology I actually just find very interesting and everything. So I took a couple classes my freshman and sophomore year, and I got interested in it. I went ahead and just stayed with sociology. So I was like, I like how everything goes in sociology. I like the things I learn and just learning about society, how people interact with each other.
All right. Well, that is Sacramento State senior defensive end Darian Chote. Thanks for joining us. The Hornets will play Fresno State this Saturday. Good luck this Saturday.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us on the show, and good luck.
All right, thank you.
Big Sky men's and women's basketball championships are headed to Boise. Buy your tickets now for a fun-filled week with basketball for all to enjoy. Purchase your tickets today by visiting BigSkyInBoise.com. That's BigSkyInBoise.com.
It's time for the one and only Craig Haley from Stats to join us on our show. It's been an interesting few weeks of football already. How are you doing this week, Craig?
I'm doing well, Carl. You're right. It's been terrific, and I'll tell you, this Big Sky schedule this week really has me excited, too.
All right, well, we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's kind of take a look around the country. Towson picked up a huge win over Maine on Saturday. Is this Towson's season to shine, or is Maine just not the same team they were last year?
You know, it appears to be a little bit of both. I mean, Towson definitely has its strongest team since it played in the national title game in 2013 against North Dakota State. Everybody knew they had a great offense coming back, and, you know, with Tom Flacco at quarterback, but their defense is really better than expected. And, you know, Maine, on the other hand, their defense isn't as strong as people thought. I mean, it was tremendous last year, other than that loss to Eastern Washington. And they did lose a key linebacker graduation and another key returnee there, Deshaun Stevens. He's out with a season-ending injury. So I definitely say it's both to answer your question.
You mentioned North Dakota State, playing Maine, and they host UC Davis on Saturday. Will the Aggies be able to Will the Aggies be able to knock off the Bison?
Before the season, you know, I predicted when I thought some different streaks would end in the FCS, and I had North Dakota State's winning streak, which now is up to 24, would end against UC Davis. Now that game week is here, I have to tell you, I don't feel as confident it will happen. I'm not sure the Aggies can handle NDSU's physicality. I mean, they've been quite impressive here with a lot of new starters. But I do like how Coach Hawkins can come up with different plays and ideas. It's never easy for an opponent to prepare for that, but it's going to be a tough assignment up in the Fargo Dome, but a great matchup for sure.
Now, Eastern Washington played Jacksonville State this past week and brought excitement that was expected. What happened in those final minutes that had Jacksonville State coming away with the upset?
Definitely that partially blocked punt, midway through the fourth. It basically gave Jacksonville State a touchdown and that made it, 45-42. You give a quality team that kind of momentum and the vision of pulling out a win, it can snowball, and it certainly did on Eastern. I think their defense was tiring because Derek Cooper, Jacksonville State's quarterback, and their offense, started gaining 6-8 yards a pop. Tough loss for the Eagles. They let one get away that they really had.
Now, Eastern Washington slid to number 11 in the Stats FCS poll, and so that was a pretty big drop after a close loss to a ranked team. What are your thoughts on this week's rankings, the ranking for the Eagles?
I think the drop is too much. I mean, I moved them from 4th to 8th on my ballot. I think, you give a program like Eastern some benefit of the doubt when they're 2-0, with two tough opponents that they've lost to. I'm definitely disappointed to see them outside the top 10. I do think it's too far of a drop in our stats poll.
So all Big Sky teams are ranked in the top 25 of the FCS stats poll, and they're in the top 20. Can Montana join the rest in the top 20?
I think this week's opponent, Monmouth, they're probably not as good as the national perception. They had a playoff team 2 years ago. I think a win over the Grizz will boost them in the rankings because people are going to, see a quality win. Then it's all the Big Sky schedule after that. I think we're going to start to learn more about the Grizz real soon. I think they get it going this week, against Monmouth, which will move them up.
And Sacramento State and Northern Arizona have been receiving votes the past couple of weeks. Is this the week they get over the hump?
It's a tough week. I mean, I'm impressed by both teams. I think Northern Arizona may have the roughest road schedule in the nation, which includes this big trip to Illinois State this week. I did believe Sacramento State could be one of the more improved teams around, and they're just so different when Kevin Thompson's healthy at quarterback. They have an outside chance of an FBS win against Fresno. If either of these Big Sky teams win on the road this week, yes, people are going to notice. So, it's a big week. I'm excited for both those matchups.
So there is also a lot of excitement this week with 5 of the 6 final Big Sky Missouri Valley games going on. What's your prediction, and what will the series count be after this weekend?
Well, the Big Sky has done well to take this, 3-1 series lead into the weekend. There are a number of big Missouri Valley teams hosting this weekend, so I think it sets up for a little bit of a reversal. I think it's going to be 5-4 one way or the other after Saturday. I think it comes down to whether Northern Arizona can win at Illinois State. They obviously beat them bad in Flagstaff 2 years ago. I think that's the key game of the weekend. Who will have a 5-4 lead, going into the final game.
Now, last week you said that the Missouri Valley is the top conference right now, and the Big Sky was a close second. If we win the Challenge Series, does that make the Big Sky jump to number 1 in your books?
Oh boy, that's putting me on the spot there, Carl. I think it would be close. It would be easier to say that if the final count in the Challenge Series is decisive, like the Big Sky wins, 7-3 or more, then yes. But the Valley's been the best conference this decade for the FCS, so it would be close to say that either way. Right now, hanging on to the Valley being the best just because of history, but I've clearly moved the Big Sky above the CAA to number 2, in the last 2 years.
Fair enough. Final question: what is your Big Sky game of the week to watch this week?
Well, it's definitely that UC Davis at North Dakota State game for sure. I mean, to me, that's the best non-conference matchup of the season. I think, it's a great game. I mean, the entire nation should be focused on that. But, other games too, I mean, in the league. I mean, Northern Arizona, their game at Illinois State, that's just flat out fun when you got Cookus versus James Robinson, the great running back for Illinois State. I mean, Idaho showed quite a bit last week in their game, against Wyoming. I think they can make the Eastern Washington visit, pretty interesting. All across the Big Sky, it's just a terrific game, week of games. So, I hope the fans are excited. They really should be.
All right. Well, that's Craig Haley of Stats. Thank you, Craig, for joining us. And as always, have a great day.
All right. Enjoy all the games, Carl. Thank you.
Big Sky fans, make sure you download the Pluto TV app on your smartphone, tablet, or TV and check out our new channel lineup in the 500s. South Dakota and Northern Arizona and Eastern Oregon at Portland State can both be watched on Pluto TV this week. The Root Sports Game of the Week features Eastern Washington at Idaho. Kickoff is slated for 12:09 Pacific Time in the Kibbe Dome. Thanks again to Southern Utah head coach Demario Warren, Sacramento State defensive end Darian Chote, and FCS senior editor of Stats Craig Haley for joining us on the show today. Enjoy This Week in Big Sky Football.